drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life After Dark. Hi, folks.
Oh boy.
Just because it's actually dark
Yeah.
outside.
It is 12:12 p.m. and where are you tonight? No, just kidding, of course. This is the Crazy Life, everyone.
We're bringing you
And I
all
am
those.
Jen, your hostess.
Yep.
Hush. Cuckoo. And with me, as always, we have Brian and a big welcome back to Hanno.
I
It's that gif of Kermit when he's like, yeah, he's waving his arms around.
And for the
ready to
record, folks,
dance.
I made Hanno show me his ID because I didn't actually believe it was Hanno, but it truly is. He is Hanno in the flesh.
We live in the age of AI. That could have been faked.
It's true.
Yep.
Even my image.
There was actually an article I saw the other day, did not read it, but said, would an AI girlfriend be good for you?
Mm-hmm.
And it did cause me to pause for a second.
It's coming.
And
Some
quite
people,
frankly, it's scary.
some people it could be.
Mm.
It's gonna happen,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because any new technology, you know, the first two things that go after it are always Disney and porn. So, you know,
And I will say, call me sexist, because quite frankly, it is a very sexist statement.
Mhm.
But it's usually the guys that bring it to porn first.
well, yeah, that's where the money is.
Well, yeah.
But this is a clean show, so we shall not be talking about those things.
Right. And we're not going to get into all the AI talk. Hopefully the AI won't replace us. Although the Sporkful a couple weeks ago did an episode where Dan Pashman asked the like Chat GPT or whatever to write an episode of the Sporkful. And him and a woman like acted it out basically, or, you know, did part of it or whatever. And there's some of it that very much felt like it could have been, but it just also didn't quite feel on brand because, you know, it didn't take enough of a sample of him, I think, to get a full compliment, so you could really feel like he was the one doing the narrative. So,
Right.
but that's where we're at with it. You know, it's still got to learn.
I'll tell you, my uncle's a professor, an English professor, and he's retiring this year.
What part of England's he from?
Huh?
What part of England's he from? Sorry. You said he's an English professor.
Hush. But he was sharing with us that it's becoming increasingly difficult to be an English professor with students writing papers because of AI technology.
Mm.
So no longer is it plagiarism. They actually create brand new documents based upon, so you can't like do the normal plagiarism checks.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new so what they do is you type in the subject matter, you type in any keywords that you need mentioned, and then AI will create your paper for you.
Right.
And then you submit it. And when the professor goes and tries to check it for plagiarism and things like that, it's not going to pop up at anything because it's not technically plagiarized.
The funny part about that is this is a conversation I saw somebody having the other day. It was very interesting, which is whether or not it actually is plagiarism or not, because the way that the AI realistically creates is by taking what has already been created on the internet and it's creating something in that tone. So even if it isn't plagiarism, it's very much at best an homage. Because in his
you catch that's the
well,
problem.
actually, there's some of the AI companies are creating software for detection purposes that they are giving to education and different stuff. But even still, bad guys are always ahead of the good guys. So the people who are cheating will find new ways to cheat, and they'll be ahead of the people trying to fix the cheating. So, it'll probably be there. It'll just be interesting to see how far the gap becomes, because it really changes a lot of things in academia. Like,
well, it begs to question a lot of key things, which is how important is the written word from an individual?
Hey, I'm all for going back to grunts and hitting people with sticks. So, I'm actively in the dating world, and I get called on it quite frequently that my vocabulary is too big. That just means someone's intimidated by somebody who seems smarter than them.
Kind of my take on it, but yeah, I've heard it from quite a few people that that my word choice and how I think about what I say and stuff is intimidating and sounds like I'm talking down to them.
I'm going to give you a thing that will just further confirm that, which is what I used to do when people would say that to me is I would just forward them a link to dictionary.com.
Well, I explained to them
and that very much just points out that you are very condescending.
Yeah. Well, I explained to them the fact that the reason I talk the way I do is I grew up in a household with a writer. My dad is an English major. Mm-hmm. My uncle is an English professor. And my dad's best friend is another English professor. So when I didn't use the appropriate word for circumstance, I was reminded in triplicate.
Also, also the correct word. Don't discount your brother in that as well.
Very true.
Because your brother's very intelligent and he would use correct terminologies.
I cannot tell you how many times I heard there's a better word for that. Dang it.
Yep.
Oh, my mom used to always, when I would curse, it was, you are too intelligent to use that word. There's better words out there.
I don't know. There's sometimes where curse words are the correct word.
I'm saying.
When you stub your toe, oh darn, is not getting it done. Like curse words are the only thing that really fit the bill there. So
blasphemous. No, that does not fit the bill when you stub your toe.
Alas, my toe. Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
This is also the woman, though, that gave the half middle finger. So we got to give her credit for what we can.
Right. I'm not fully ready to commit to the whole finger.
She gave him the half middle finger.
It's like a warning shot. Yeah.
Yes. And when I questioned her on it, she said they knew what I meant.
I would love to be in the car of the other people just to find out if they knew what she meant. You'd love to hear the story that goes on and like, what? She didn't even flip, because she didn't even flip the whole finger. Like, what the hell?
It was more of a shaking of the fist with your knuckle in the air.
Yeah. So I said it's more like a warning shot kind of a thing than it is
pretty much.
Like, consarn it, you kids.
Exactly.
Whoa.
We're not even 5 minutes into the show and we're completely off track. So I apologize, folks.
There was a track?
Nope.
I know, exactly.
I don't recall us discussing one.
Nope.
And laying out a path, a direction.
This is an off-road vehicle.
Let me steer this bus back a little bit to our lane. Just to reset, we are The Crazy Life, Brian, Jen, and Henno. And we are here to talk about mental health, which I know you're questioning whether we have at this point.
Yep.
But we do.
Sure.
Sort of. Sure.
That's exactly what someone who doesn't would say.
Let's get us started off. All right. We always start with how the week's going. And I do believe we have a rule that the person that hasn't been on last needs to go. And that would be Heno for the next 6 months. So, Heno.
I had to check my notes. I wasn't sure.
Going?
6 months?
Hey, Jen,
You're going first for everybody.
We've only done like 2 shows since he was on last. Oh, all right. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Since the last time I was on, I went to Jamaica, had a great vacation. So my mental health is really good. When I went to, I think before I went to Jamaica, I went and had a physical, and the doctor asked me all the prerequisite questions, like, so, you working out? I'm like, nope, not so much. He's like, how's your mental health? I'm like, I said, not so much, but I'm playing music in a couple of bands. And he says, how's your mental health? I'm like, outstanding, because I'm playing music in a couple of bands.
Yeah, right.
So then he referred me to a dermatologist because of a couple bumps on my forehead that I couldn't. I was like, he's like, are these new? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure. He's like, well, these can sometimes be just moles, or sometimes they can be disguised as something, precancerous. He's like, I'm going to give you a referral to go get checked out. Of course, that appointment ended up being after I got back from Jamaica. So I was like, it would have been better if I got in there all pasty and white instead of all tan. So I get there, and I'm actually joking with the doctor about that, who fits the part perfectly. He was very pasty and white. And he said, you'd be surprised how many people walk into my office with sunburns.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, I'm going to the dermatologist's office. I'm not going to put on any sunscreen. I'm going to sit out in the sun all day. Yeah, that was really great. But I got a clean bill of health from there, which was great. And they are just little moles. It was funny because it was like that day, I'm like, wait a minute. Selfies. I've probably been taking selfies for about 10 years now. I can probably find these 2 bumps on my head going back. Well, let's find out. Sure enough, like, they go back like 10 years. I was like, okay, yeah, I don't have a problem. But it was cool because while I was in there, he's like, you want me to check your back and everything? I'm like, absolutely. So off goes the shirt. He's like, like he said, are you good with your sunblock and stuff? And wearing a hat. I'm like, yeah, I am today, but in my youth, not so much. Right. And I had lots of shoulder burns, and I worked outside. And so he gave me a good look over and said that he didn't see anything suspicious or anything like that. So that was good. And let's see. Lots of gigs coming up. Really excited. Really enjoying music. Our project for our 80s band probably isn't. Well, I know it's not going to happen this year for a fact. It'll happen next year. We just musician wise, we need to fill out with some other people. But I'm really, really happy about doing this project. It's really fun to play a lot of music that I grew up listening to and I've never played before. And between that and Doghouse, we have just a bunch of gigs. And the guys, when I was out of town, they worked on my songs.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was so cool. So the first rehearsal back, they were all excited to surprise me. And they really I would go through and poke little thing here, like, oh, do this here, but pretty much they had it down, and it really felt good, and it just warmed my heart like you wouldn't believe. And one of the things I kind of realized is we're up, here I am pretty much in my mid-50s, and I think I'm probably having more joy and magic playing music than I did when I was in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It really is. Most people, especially with people that never had a career with music, or even those that do, a lot of times they'll switch to other fields. Like they might write scores, or they might become a recording engineer or producer or whatever, and they don't so much write music anymore. And the fact that I'm still writing and then I'm still recording stuff, and I'm not just focused on the glory days, right? Yeah, those days were great, but these days are better because I'm doing it better.
Right.
And it really was it's been a good thing for me as a reminder that, if I just stay in the moment and really think about how I want, because I have nights where I'm really tired and I'll go to practice, or I'll just be kind of burnt out because I got a lot of stuff going on in my head, like other stuff I should be doing. And I don't enjoy it. And so what I've been doing lately is having a lot more fun. So like I was about to say is when I'm gonna go to practice, I'm thinking about it as like this is something I should be enjoying. And it's really helped me. The last few months have been a lot better for me as far as like really feeling I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And I think that's also, it comes back to me. You know, whatever energy I put out is going to come back to me. And so we're really having a great time. We have a new keyboard player, and I'm really looking forward to playing Pride in the Garden this year because we're doing some fun disco songs, and nice. I'm going to sing Born This Way, Lady Gaga.
Yes.
And we're starting it with solo piano. Like she'll do like solo piano versions of it, and then she also does a dance version of it, and we're kind of combining it.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's really going to be great. We're playing Diana Ross. We're doing a Scissor Sister song, and we're of course going to close with We Are Family.
Right.
I'm still looking forward to this. And then we also got picked up to do a gig with, it's called Light on the Mountains. And I guess they're a Presbyterian kind of based church, but all inclusive. Okay. I don't know exactly specifically, but we have it's called Church of the Big Wood. Go ahead and laugh. And what's interesting is I met with he's more of a mentor to me now, but I haven't really seen him in a couple of years. My AA sponsor, and I was catching him up on what's happened over the last couple of years. And he was telling me about how he went to the Church of the Big Wood, and his daughter is in a lesbian relationship, and they wanted to get married. And so he went to the pastor of the church, and the church said, well, Tom, for you, we'd make an exception, because their church is still part of a national convention, basically, of other churches, and they are completely against women leaders, and they do not support any same-sex marriages. And what Tom basically said is, yeah, no thanks.
Right.
I shouldn't be an exception. I should be the norm.
Right.
And so he went to Light on the Mountains, and they asked us to play their annual party. And I was like, wow, this will be really great. And because they're trying to get more younger people to be involved in the church. And it's hard to bring people into a church when you see that they are not inclusive to everybody. And so I'm really happy to be part of both of these events, especially with the backlash that's going on. And I can't help but thinking of, I've had some really, really shocking conversations with people, and all I keep thinking about is the people that are out there struggling, that are even more now struggling for acceptance.
Yeah.
Struggling to just, not only just be comfortable in their own skin, but feel safe.
Yeah. Just live a life.
Absolutely.
Like, let alone just live a life, without
the life you want to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really hitting hard with me, because the people that I've had these shocking conversations with don't really care.
Right.
They don't care. They would rather see people suffer.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yep.
And they said it flat out to me. Like, they would be better off. They would be better off. And I'm like, how is that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the statistics on life expectancy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's because of the suicides
Yeah.
and, you
Yeah.
know,
And if there was more acceptance and people just not being jerks, a lot of those suicide numbers would probably go down. And that would change the mortality rate significantly because a lot of them are dying in their youth.
Yeah, don't
And a
get
lot of
started.
yeah, and a lot of people want to be part of also spiritual communities, and they're not welcome.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as two really big opportunities here for as a musician in our valley to not only get a chance to play, but to actually support organizations that are inclusive and are not afraid to make the statement that they are. So that feels really good. I got coming up a couple really hard weeks at work. They're going to be very difficult, but I'm not getting freaked out about it. My coworkers, like I have been just very open with, I am not able to get this thing done, and people are stepping up and taking care of it because they see I'm doing other things, and it's great to be going into to what's going to be just a challenging period of time, and not be afraid. Like I'm usually this stuff gets in my head, and I shared about it. It was, last November, December when we had this pipe leak, and I was freaking out.
That's right. This is when you guys
about the pipe.
Yeah, you guys are finally like, this is when you start
We're gonna do the work. We're gonna do it now, and I'm stoked. Like, all the meetings have been had, all the conversations been had, all the plans we've really done everything we could, and now it's like, all right, now let's let it happen.
Sounds like an athlete when the preseason is over. Like, we've done all the practice, we've read the playbook, we've done. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a challenge. It just flat out is, but I think we're all ready for it, and it's I really feel good about the people we have, doing the work and helping out with this. And there's always going to be, some people aren't always going to be happy, and it still amazes me some of the passive aggressive responses that people have. I just bite my tongue. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, if you like, how does that help? Right. Like, how does that comment help anybody?
Yeah.
Like, we are really doing our due diligence. It's really, it becomes more and more obvious to me the more I experience it. So, anyhow, I'm on my 3-day weekend already. Here I am dating the show. But for, everyone's got, everyone will have the normal 3-day Memorial Day weekend, but I'm doing a day early, and I got some flowers planted today. My old neighbor actually came and visited me today, which is kind of cool. Not the dude who's evidently not doing so great, but his former girlfriend that was part of just the absolute poop parade that happened.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it was great to at least touch base with her, and dogs are doing good. Things are good. I think I still love going to Jamaica and doing the same thing over and over again, because if I'm going to spend a whole bunch of money like that, I want to know what I'm getting.
Yeah,
and I know exactly what I'm getting, and I think Sharon's getting a little bored with that. She likes a little more adventure, so she's going to Guatemala in the fall with her friend Karen.
That'll be,
and different. We're gonna go back again, next year. But hey, I was like, if Sharon isn't into going, I'm just like, well, our good friend Jeannie, I'm sure she'd come with me.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, JKL, you know it.
Yep.
Yeah, and then maybe the next year I'll be like, hey, Brian, let's go. We'll pretend we're a really cute gay couple.
Yeah, we'll just go
at the couples resort.
Let's get him to Idaho first.
I was gonna say we'll go back to earlier in the show when I mentioned the grunting and hitting someone with a stick. So it's the first step. You gotta knock me out, and then I wake up and I'm on the plane like, what the?
So Hanno, are you going to be recording any of this? And where can our audience listen to some of this amazing stuff that you're doing right now?
Well,
I'm
so
putting you on the
here,
spot.
yeah, I did this song that I'm happy with. You know, I sent it to Brian. I sent it to you too, and I really it's the first time in a long time that I'm like, you know, it's not perfect, but I'm happy about it, and I, I'm I'm debating whether I'm going to start releasing little singles, and because I do have enough music now to do an album. The thing is I also have an opportunity to, like, everything that I record right now is over like drum loops. So they're actual drum parts, but they're just loops that I assemble. Jason is willing to record actual drum parts for all the songs. So we'll see. I might wait until he can do that. But one of the things that I did while I was in Jamaica is I started erasing our former guitar player from our album.
Nice.
That was a little heavy, but our new keyboard player, I think he's going to do a great job. We're going to be able to finish recording all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see what happens now that this other project has kind of fallen. You know, as we're going to put it off till next year. I might be able to actually kind of keep moving along on this stuff. So we'll see. I got, you know, June and July is going to be a lot of gigs. So I'll.
Speaking from a fan, please, even if it's raw, we don't care. We want to hear what Hanno is doing. So even if your lovely wife would so deem to record even a portion of what you're doing on stage, we would love to see it.
I was gonna say last year or last time you guys did would you call it, I'm sorry, Pride in the Park, or I can't remember what you said it was called.
We call it, you know, Pride in the Garden.
Pride in the Garden. Sorry. I think you guys, I think you posted some of that on your Facebook last time, didn't you? Like a couple songs or something like that?
A little bit. I'm actually thinking about coming up with a way to live stream it.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Because I've got a full, you know, mixing board mix going on that I could just pretty much just plug that right in.
Yeah.
And just do a live stream. So I'm thinking about maybe doing it just so people can participate a little bit and just and because it is really a cool event. For sure there'll be little clips up, but I'd like to do something more kind of official, because that's a lot of people asking, like, hey, where are you playing and when are you playing? And it's not convenient, but they want to check it out. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's, you know, unfortunately,
let us know, we'll promote.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not, you know, not touring anywhere near us, so we can't go see you right now, and flights to Idaho are also
you know, it's not exactly the easiest place to get to.
I have panties waiting to be thrown, so you come near me. They're just waiting. They're in my to be thrown pile.
Me too. I'm gonna get some of those like comically large ones. I'm gonna wad them up, some rubber bands on them.
Was that in basketball?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh yeah, it was the mom.
Yeah.
Pulls out the girlfriend's mom's underwear.
Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, that's a great movie for a drinking game. Do not recommend, but recommend.
Yeah, every time they say dude.
Yes, and then the dude's conversation happens.
Yeah, that's what he said. Dude.
Oh, dude. He's just licking the vibrator and then she walks in the door.
Oh my.
And it falls and just buzzing around.
Yeah.
Oh, classic.
God, I need to watch that again.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do too. I need to pop that.
I meant to when you guys watched when you did Dodgeball and that. I watched Dodgeball, but I never went back and watched Basketball again because I know that movie. I know a lot. Well, not like I used to, but I used to know it by heart. You know, Dodgeball I had only seen a couple times, so I really needed a refresher on Dodgeball for that moving the needle. But I
it was funny on
my own blood.
Yep.
Yeah, on Salty Language when you're like, I think there was a movie called Orca, the Killer Whale, and I'm like, yeah, we covered that on Moving the Needle. Oh wait, that's right, that's Beats Down. I think we did it.
You did, yeah. I think you're right.
Orca versus something else. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. It was bad.
I think it was
That's
like
a
Jaws.
bad movie.
I think it was like Jaws 2 or something like that, wasn't it? I feel like it was one of the Jaws sequels or something. But anyway, yeah.
I don't remember what
I
it was.
just
But yeah, it was making
remember
me
it.
laugh this week.
I remembered it because of working the video store, you know, because I see all those boxes of movies. It's amazing the movies I can still remember, but I've never seen, you know, because I put them away or just cleaning or whatever. I've seen so many. Plus, me and one of the employees that I worked with a lot, we used to play a game where we would make sentences up out of the movie titles, you know, or do something like I'd be standing there, I'd be like, Becky, who else is going to bring you? And I'd hold up the movie Broken Arrow, you know, like that kind of stuff to where we'd make song references with it. So in the end, you learn so many movies that way without even, you know, trying to. So, Jen, are you still there? No, she's got her mic off. Okay. I guess we'll see. Well, I guess I'll go next then if you're done. If not, keep going.
Yeah, I just want the last thing I wanted to say was when I did get to meet with, you know, my sponsor and catch him up on the last 2 years, I really realized how important these meetings are, because it's just like what we do here. We have this history with each other, and it's a great way to check in, because you're checking in with people that you know, that are going to call you on your key wrap, but, you know, congratulate you on what's working. And
yeah,
it had been a while and I hadn't gotten him up to date on what happened with my work.
Oh.
And when I finally, you know, described what happened and everything and where I'm at right now, and you know, that I just had faith that the money was going to come, and the money came, and that, you know, I feel like I'm on a good path but that probably by the end of the year, I'm going to be pretty much out of debt and things are moving along. He had this great statement. He says, well, sounds like the money's definitely helping, but more importantly, it sounds like you are out of the lack mentality.
Yeah.
And I went, you know what? You're right.
Prisoner, you're literally in a prison when you're in that mentality. You know?
Yeah, and I have been for a long time, and I really think it's going away right now.
Awesome.
And it's giving me more of that faith to, like, you know, keep on the track. Mm-hmm. And even if there's little slips here and there because of, well, like this week, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of flowers, I'm gonna buy a bunch of topsoil, I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff. Okay, you know, it's like I didn't have the money in my checking account. I'll get paid in a week, and I will.
Yeah.
But it was like one of these things where it's like I wasn't freaked out about it. I'm like, it's fine. It's going to be okay. You know, you know, whereas before I would have like kind of dwelled on it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just go, no, you're in a good spot right now.
Yeah.
It's, you know, not to worry about it. And it just feels a lot better, because like Tom was telling me, he's like, you will attract more abundance into your life if you are in a place of abundance.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean abundance doesn't mean money. It
right.
just means how you feel about
I think
yourself.
When it comes to financials, I think a lot of that is because when you're trapped in that mentality, you really are looking inward. You know, like, because you're looking at how does this affect me? How can I do that? You know, everything starts with me or I, or, you know, and once you start, like you said, if you can kind of get free of that grip a little bit, you can start looking toward, you know, we or you or what, you know, as well as that stuff. Yeah. So it gives you, and like you said, it doesn't even have to be just money, but anything in life, like, you know, when you stop looking inward, you know, it's amazing. You know, it's similar to, like, you know, when you walk, if you're looking at the ground, there's so much world you're missing, right? It's like, when you're finally able to lift your head up a little bit and you're like, oh, hey, what's all this? What's this green stuff on the trees? You know, it's like, because you haven't been seeing any of that stuff. So I think
a good comparison is like when you're riding a bicycle or a motorcycle, if whatever you fixate on, you're going to run towards.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So when you're going through a corner, you look ahead at where you're going to travel through that corner, and you go through the corner. Yeah. If you start looking straight at the ground, you're just going to bury yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you start looking at some tree that you're like, wow, that's a really big tree. The next thing you know, you're riding right at that tree.
Yeah.
Or at a cliff or whatever it is. And I really think there's a certain element of when we stop hyper focusing on the things that we don't need to, we can see the possibilities ahead of us and head ourselves in the right direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because it's, as someone, you and I have talked, at length about this stuff, and I'm still in that mindset because, of situations of partially my own doing. And, I can't get out of that mindset. And actually, do you have anything more? Because if not, I can go right into my week.
No, go for it.
Okay.
Do it.
Because, no.
That's why we're in.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off. It's just, this is a great,
Perfect segue.
Yeah, because, a few days ago, I'll go over this real quick. If you listen to Salty Language, sorry, because this is a repeat part. But about a week ago, our microwave started acting weird. It still works, but like when you're done with it, you have to unplug it now, because if you don't, the light stays on and the turntable keeps spinning. And I looked online for troubleshooting stuff, and I did everything that was recommended. And the next step is basically replacing the control panel or just replacing the microwave. And I was like, okay, this is above my pay grade. I don't know how to fix these things. So, whatever. But it still works, so we can still use it. No big deal. Then our cable box went out. And we're like, okay. Then, and the week before, I could not get text messages because I had switched my phone provider, which, again, actually, you know what? We'll go back to this, because this is where the money part starts, actually, because I thought to save money, I would switch from Verizon to Visible. And looking at the bill and everything, I was like, this is going to save me like $40 a month, which is awesome. That's a lot of money, right? So I'm like, cool. I did not realize that I did not own my phone outright. I thought I did, and went ahead and switched to Visible. And when I did, I got a thing from Verizon that was like, hey, you owe us like $600. And I'm like, uh-oh, because I don't so much have a way of giving you $600. And I was like, well, I contacted them. I've got to sort of work around for it, that basically the $40 I was going to save, I will not be saving for at least until the phone is paid off. Because I'm going to just be applying it toward paying the phone off. So it'll take me about a year, unless, if I get other monies along the way, I may throw extra toward it. But it's sorted, right? But I beat myself up so badly over this. Like, how could you be this stupid, blah, 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 right? Now, something I'm going to throw in here for context, because this is the first chance I've had to test myself on my lower dose of antidepressants. So I'm down to the lowest dose currently. And I was like, okay, money is my number one trigger. Nothing triggers me into depression easier than money, or lack thereof, I should say. So I found myself really, really riding myself pretty tough on that. And realistically, I absolutely should have read the fine print better. I didn't. I just agreed to things, and, I should not have done that, right? Okay, fine. The money's there. It'll sort itself out. It's just going to take, I remember, Henno, when you talked about this, when you were trying to get better at one point, when you were like, it's going to work out. It's just going to take longer than I thought it was going to take, kind of a thing, right? That's where I'm at with this. The phone will work itself out. Within a year, theoretically, I'll start saving money again. It sucks that it's going to be maybe a year, but whatever, right? I'm still on the right path. Pay the phone off, then I will own it outright, and then I can start saving money. So that happened first, then the microwave, then the cable box. Then my computer went out a couple of nights ago, and I was very much hoping it was going to be a cheap fix. It's not. It could be worse. I have a solution in place to where I can probably, I may still get something else. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet, but it's the idea that, and my mom's going to help me with it, but it's just like, then I beat myself up, because this feeds the depression, right? Because the depression says, you're a burden, you're not worthy, blah, blah, blah. So right now, my brain has been going through being a burden, blah, 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 right? So where I'm at with the medicine, real quick, is that I think this is the dose I stop at. I don't think I'm going to go off. I think I'm going to stop here, because I feel a floor, and I still feel a good amount of the depression, but not oppressively. So I think this is probably where I need to be. And I'm going to, of course, as always, I'll be talking to my psychiatrist, soon about this, and as well as my therapist. I have an appointment with her next week. So we'll be sorting that stuff out, you know. So it's just a week of like we're going to need another microwave at some point. So it's like, I don't want to take the money to get a computer, right? Because my mom doesn't use my computer. That doesn't affect her at all, right? The microwave does. So in my head, I'm like, well, we should get the microwave. That's more important, right? So, and we still might, like I said, I haven't decided exactly what's going on yet, but the things I do podcasting. I like doing podcasting. It's much harder on this laptop because this laptop is not built for this. It is built for doing emails and shit like that. Whoops, sorry, stuff like that. You know, it is not really built for doing podcasting and editing and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so with all that, with the money stuff, it's really been kicking my butt left and right. And the funny part was the night that essentially my computer died. That night, I was sitting in bed really kind of thinking about things, and I was like, you know what? Tomorrow, I've got links on my computer set up to where I can do the financial aid stuff, and I really need to just point myself at school and move that direction. And then the computer dies, and it's funny because depression wants me to go, it's a sign.
Right.
The universe doesn't want you to do this. So, you know, of course, I know it has nothing to do with any of that and whatever. But I also am in a headspot right now where it's like, I don't want to make any decisions right now. Like, really, I just want to go curl up in a ball and woe is me for a little while. And like I told Tony on Salty Language, I was like, the thing is, I very much understand. And this is where I think I'm in a good spot with my tool set, how I deal with depression and all this stuff is that I very much can take that step back and go, this is all first world problems. I still have shelter. I still eat, you know, so, you know,
I have no microwave, yeah, but still.
I have clean drinking water. I have indoor plumbing, air conditioning, you know, so it's like, I'm still blessed. So, the other stuff will pass, you know, and it's not, none of it is life threatening in any way. I'm now in no immediate danger with any of this stuff. So, you know, I think I'm in a good headspace with it for the most part. But boy, for a few days there, I mean, I'm not going to lie, you know, depression took me in the ring and kind of slapped me around a little while, said some mean things about my mom, you know, and but I think I'm, you know, coming through it okay. And again, I have therapy next week, which is, the timing on that's very good. You know, I had two dentist appointments this week. I had one for a filling from when I broke a tooth. It yanked the filling right next to it out also. So I got that taken care of. Meanwhile, in my mouth, I'm like, I have two fillings that I had pre-COVID that I still have not gotten dealt with yet. It's like, I need to get these dealt with. And, you know, so the dentist is like, yeah, you got to come back. So I go to the thing to check out, and the woman's like, actually, we just had someone cancel tomorrow. She's like, do you want to come in? I'm like, yes. Because with the dentist I go to, I usually have to wait about a month and a half to get an appointment. So I'm like, for sure, I want to, and I'm expecting her to be like, okay, 8:00, you know? And I was in my head, I'm like, whatever time it is, I'm taking it because I want to get these sorted out. And turns out it was 1:00 too, so it was perfect for me. So, you know, I got that dealt with this week. I had 2 cavities up top. I had 3 that needed addressing. The one was real small, but so I still have 1 more. And then I'm finally done with my dang dental stuff. Well, around that time, it'll be time to schedule a cleaning again, of course. But cleanings are whatever, you know. But it's still, I have to go back again. But so it's like I'll have that sorted out finally, though. And that's something that's just, it's weird because it's like, it just hangs there, you know. It's like, because in my head, I'm like, I've had issues with my teeth a long time because I didn't have insurance, you know. So I try my best to take the best care I can of them currently, you know, and it's like, it makes me angry that, you know, because of circumstances and all this other stuff, I had to put off these fillings for like 3 years. It's insane, you know. So I just want to get them done, and then I can finally breathe a little bit as far as that goes, and, you know, hope that's the end of it for a while. But yeah, so I think that's pretty sure that's been it for me. So how about you, Jen?
Um, it's been interesting. Nothing too crazy, you know, radical has happened in my world, but I'm helping a friend through some difficult times. She's going through a divorce, and um, so it's been really cool to be of service. I've really been digging of being of service to people and in accepting gratitude, which is difficult for me to do. But yeah, she stayed with me for a few days, and I, of course, you give it. I wouldn't even think twice about opening my home to someone, especially someone I'm close with. And she bought me some flowers, and they're sitting, and I'm actually looking at them right now. Beautiful flowers. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that. Are you crazy? You're moving out. You're doing all this stuff. You don't have to do that for me. And she's like, yes, I did. And it took me a minute. And I'm like, accept it. She wanted to do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be a gracious acceptor, which is not easy.
Right.
You need to do it all.
Yeah. It is for most people. Like a lot of people, yeah. It's so funny, the whole, how everyone always talks about it's better to give than receive. And there's so many people that'll joke, no, it's not. It's like, yeah, well, then explain compliments, Yeah. Well,
she keeps throwing my words back at me because she's been overwhelmed by the support that she's had going through such a difficult time. Sure. And I said, girl, this is not altruism. This is not people giving because they just want to give. This is people giving because you've either A, given to them already and they're returning a favor, or B, they're banking chips for the future because they know you're going to come through. And she's like, well, I said, if it was me, you would do it. She said, well, of course. I'm like, then why is it so difficult for you to believe that I will do it for you when you would so naturally just do it for me?
Because a lot of us don't believe we deserve it.
Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, cuz. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Cuz. I hate when people do that. It's like either argue with me or make a good point,
Right?
Don't give me cuz.
Cuz. Well, today I helped her to move. I was such a slave driver. She's getting stuff from her house, and she has a new apartment, and she's moving to the new apartment. And I went over there with her. She's like, oh, we can just take my car. I'm like, nope, we can take 2 cars because 2 cars can hold more. And she's like, okay, fine. So we go over to the house, and as she's picking things up, she's like, well, I'll leave that for now. I'm like, why? She's like, well, because, I'm like, why? I said, are you leaving it for him? Or are you leaving it because you don't want to take things? And do you not want it? And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, then why are you leaving it?
Yeah.
And so I kept pushing her to kind of make these decisions and do these things and stuff. And afterwards, we went back to the apartment and dropped all the stuff off that we had gathered. And she had bought me a water and a few other things. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that. She's like, I know.
What are you talking about? You helped her move. She owes you at least a pizza and a 6-pack.
Exactly. Like, fine. You're right. Okay. You don't have to do this, but because you need to and want to, I'm graciously accepting.
Right.
And it was just, it's a beautiful exchange that's helping to cement things that I've already known, but I'm glad that it's like in my face right now. Mm-hmm. That's really reminding me of truly what friendship is about and what it means to care for another person and to accept care from another person.
I like that you two are essentially beating each other over the head with kindness, and like, you will accept this, which is good 100%. Because it's so hard for a lot of us to accept kindness. That it's funny, but it's a good thing that you guys are both learning at this, at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that's good.
Yeah. She was getting frustrated with me because as we're going through the house, she's like, oh, I'm not taking that yet. I'm like, why? Yeah. You think he wants it?
Yeah.
If he was here and you said, hey, do you want this? What would he say?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm like,
well, if nothing else, I mean, you got to do that to make sure. It's like, if I drove my car over here and I'm taking like 2 things, we're going to have some words. And if you're coming back later, it's like, you've got the car, load it. Like, let's do this, Yeah.
Well, and that was what I kept, because, she's feeling a lot of guilt, which honestly, it's very similar from what I understand to kind of like survivor's guilt. That you feel guilty because you're the one instigating, and you're instigating pain on another person, so you feel a lot of guilt that you're taking upon yourself. That is not fair by any stretch, but it is a natural thing. We all do it. And my whole point with her is to understand that, yes, this hurts. Yes, it sucks. I know you're a caregiver, but you also have to be fair to yourself, and it's okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
And very difficult emotions to handle alone, let alone at the same time.
Yeah, well, just the being selfish thing. I mean, I got a sister that, I didn't mention this before, but she's going to have surgery tomorrow, and the doctors told her not to work for the couple days leading up to it, and she went to work. She did leave early tonight, so at least I'll give her that. But she wasn't supposed to even go to work, and she went in because of guilt.
Yeah.
It's
crazy what we do to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because literally she is questioning, platters.
Yeah.
Do you think he even cares or knows what the platters are that are in the kitchen?
Maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's, big in platters. We don't know.
I don't. But as I told her, she's like, well, he doesn't even probably know what these cabinets hold. And I said, okay, then why is this a consideration?
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, if there's a consideration that needs to happen, you have it with him. Say, hey, do you want this or don't you? Kind of thing. Send him pictures,
Well, ultimately, and from my experience, they opt out.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah.
Could be different with this guy. I don't know.
No, a lot of people do. A lot of people when they leave don't, or get left, they don't care because it's not something they use, kind of a thing,
And my whole point with her is, if you want something, take it. It's okay to take it. She's like, well, if it came to us as a wedding gift, and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter how you got it. If you want it, take it. If he mentions it and wants it back, you bring it back. But don't say, no, I'm going to keep this for him on the assumption that maybe he might want it. It's like,
yeah.
I understand where your head's at. It's like, it makes sense emotionally, but logically, you kind of have to take yourself away from it a little bit and take a look at things and say, seriously, if you held up 2 platters and say, do you want either of these? Is he going to say yes?
Yeah.
Most likely not.
Right.
Like, oh, we even had those?
Yeah.
He doesn't bake. Why are you leaving him baking pans? Yes, you want to keep other people's needs in mind.
But when you and I split, it was very easy for a lot of the stuff because there were things where you were like anything baking, you were like, hey, can I take this? And I'm like, yes, because I don't bake. I hate baking. So there's no sense of me keeping almost any of it because I'm never going to use it. Maybe a bread pan because I might make banana bread, but that's going to be about the end of it.
Well, when Dan and I split, I told him, I'm like, well, I'm going to be packing up stuff and moving out. Do you want to be here and go through stuff with me? And he's like, no. I said, okay, so what do you want me to do? And he's like, just take what you want. I knew, obviously, yes, take what I want, but I'm not a jerk either.
Yeah.
So when
when someone says that, it would be kind of funny to just clean the house.
But as I was packing stuff up, I was very aware of, like, okay, he really likes this pan, so I'm leaving this pan type stuff. It's like, he likes to make this and it takes this to do so. I shall leave this piece of it. So I try to keep his thoughts in mind as to what he would prefer.
Yeah.
And what would actually work for me. So I try to be as fair as possible. And he did call me at one point and he's like, hey, did you take the orange, casserole and serving dishes and stuff? I'm like, yeah, I did. Do you want them back? And he's like, no, I was just curious where they went to. And I'm like, yeah, I have them. If you need them, let me know.
He's like, those platters I want back though. No. I know you took
it was one of those things that, we worked through it. And the other thing that I kept pushing her on is, are you okay leaving this here? Because you may never get it again.
That's true too, right? Yeah. If
And
it's
I said, I
something that
don't
really
know him.
does mean a lot to you, you might take it because you never know. Somebody might go, oh, this means a lot to them and destroy it. You know?
I said, yeah, exactly. I said, I don't know him. I know he's very emotional right now, as we all would be. It's very natural.
Sure.
So, but when people are emotional, they sometimes make decisions that are not necessarily most logical or thought out. I said, so like some pictures. She's like, I'm going to leave these pictures. I'll come get them later. I'm like, if they're not there when you come back, are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah. That's a good question to ask. It really is, because there is that chance that could happen.
Right. I said, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, I said, if you want this, take it. She's like, well, not right now. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It's like, now is the time. So it's just, it's so many emotions, and I feel for her so much because I've been there, and anyone who's been through a bad breakup knows it is not easy on anyone.
Yeah.
And my dad actually said it really, really well today, or the other day when I was at his place and we were talking about things, and he's like, I was so hurt and I was so upset when your mom and I got divorced. He's like, that I couldn't see the fact that she was hurt too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, a lot of times whoever initiates it, it's seen as though they're not hurt. That they are perfectly okay because they're moving on or whatever. And it's not the case. It could just be that they did some of their mourning beforehand. You're blindsided a lot of times, or, whatever. So whereas maybe they've been, like I said, kind of mourning and getting over things for months, to where they finally are just like, okay, now's the time.
Be over it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They just know this is the right move.
This is the time. Today's tells me this is it. So, yeah.
And it's just, it's so hard. And I feel so much for people they're going through it. I've been through it. I'm still going through it, and it's such a tangled web we weave. It's just crazy that, and don't get me started about the whole status of marriage and all that good stuff. We won't go there because that's not the show. But so that's been going on and stuff. And it's funny because my pet sitting business is flourishing, and people are seemingly desperate for me, which is lovely. And I'm glad that people are wanting my services and appreciate what I do for them.
If I did cover art for this show, this one would be the box from Desperately Seeking Susan, but I would change it to Genevieve and put your face on it.
Right. It's getting kind of crazy because I pride myself on my work. I'm good at what I do. I deliver upon what I promise, and the word is getting out. And I guess there's a lack of that going on right now in the pet industry.
Yeah.
So, my name's getting bounced around to a variety of people. People are recommending me, and as well as through the site, I'm getting a lot of work. And to the point that, I think I'm sleeping in my bed maybe once over the next 10 days. So,
wow.
Yeah. And then after that, I have a visitor coming to hang out with me here for another 9 days. And then a week home, and then another week at somebody else's house. So it's, it's interesting because you're stuck with that whole, money versus quality of life thing. So it'd be easy for me to say, yeah, I'm going to take on all these jobs, and not to mention I'm a big softie. So if a dog has any sort of issues or whatever's happening, they need special care, I have a hard time saying no. So, and if it's a friend or if it's a family member, of course, or if it's a repeat customer, it's becoming harder and harder for me to say no. One of my things that I do is I keep upping my price because that kind of helps me not have to say no as much.
Right.
But
what's tough is when you up your price and you still have a lot of demand.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're like, nuts. Because it's like the point of raising the price was this. It's like, well, I guess it works.
Yeah, and one of the jobs I have coming up is for vet tech, and if I do good, which I'm not expecting I wouldn't do good because I've always gotten really good reviews, and the tips are getting higher and higher. So I'm assuming this is going to go well. I can only imagine a vet tech having a good dog sitter, having all the people coming into the office, dating. I can only imagine this is probably going to lead to some referrals.
Yeah, very well good.
Which is good, but it's one of those things that I'm having to yet again in my life find balance, which is balance is not my forte. But finding balance, as well as I've realized my biggest Achilles heel is, I guess the terminology is money burns a hole in your pocket.
Yeah.
So I have to come to terms with having extra money.
Oh. Yeah. You know what you should do is buy a computer and keep it at my place. Problem solved. Or a PlayStation 5. Either one, I'm just here to help,
It's one of those things. I'm in a contest for a PlayStation 1 as we speak.
Nice.
Yeah. 3 tickets based upon a purchase type of thing. So not gambling, but.
Right. Well, yeah. Like a raffle situation. Is that what you're talking? Kind of like a fundraiser?
I should not be in raffles, but I did not pay for the tickets. I paid for fine line. We're splitting hairs.
Okay.
I'm not triggered.
I was just asking it more than anything. I wasn't even pointing it toward that. I was just asking. That's all.
I know you were, but
since
these
you
are my thoughts.
No, yeah.
Yes, these are my thoughts. But no, I am not triggered, so I'm good with this whole thing. But yes, it is a raffle. We will see what happens. But yeah. So yeah. So what else is going on? Coming up on the summer, so things are getting more and more busy, and dating is more and more crazy. I swear, it's so hard not to become jaded.
Yep. That's why you can see it just being on dating apps. I don't know if it works the same. Like from
it does.
Men looking at women. Okay, there's so many women that are very much like, give me a reason to stay on here. And it's like, geez, this is for sure not the right vibe to give off.
I tempted to put no in my profile, just be like a list of no's. And then it's like, if you cross those off, then fine. But I won't do it. I'm like, no, I will not approach it from the negative end.
Those come across so bad too.
I know they do.
Man, they give off such a bad vibe. I've seen a few like that. I saw one. It's been, years ago. I remember seeing one that the woman had like 15 no's on it, and I was like, and I only know that because I counted them, just because I was like, there's a lot on here, and it was like, right. I didn't even read past that. You know what I mean? It was like, if you're going to be this negative from the jump, this isn't going to work.
Right, exactly.
And I wasn't even the beacon of positivity I am now.
I will not be this person.
Yeah.
Good crazy. All right. So what I ended up putting, is, so I obviously, list different things I'm interested in and stuff. And I said, I am looking for a man that is kind, confident, and consistent. Communication is everything, as well as effort. A big plus if you wear something other than a graphic tee to a date, and no dead animal photos, please.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that, because that's pretty well known that guys seem to love having pictures of dead animals in there, especially in this area, because hunting is popular. So
hunting and fishing.
Fishing too. Sorry, yeah, I forgot fishing. Yeah.
Somebody actually told me a legitimate reason that, that I could buy it, is they said men are very, very uncomfortable taking a photo alone, so this gives them something in the photo with them.
Yeah, because guys are told not to.
Wow.
Like there's all sorts of things. I remember Tinder had a podcast at one point, and on one of the episodes, they were just ragging on, or maybe it wasn't Tinder. There was one of them I listened to. They were just ragging on guys taking selfies and all. And I'm like, how the hell are you supposed to get your pictures out there then? It's like, you're going to have to make sure you tell your friends, hey, if we're ever out together, make sure you get a picture of me with everyone else. Well, there's times when I go out and like, it's me and Jen. Am I going to take a picture of her and I and post it? Then it gives off that. Yeah, I was going to say that puts out like girlfriend vibes. You know, it's like, you know, it's like I hang out with Tony most of the time. That's the only other person I really hang out with. It's like, so all my pictures would just be me and him. That's going to be weird too.
It's one of those things that you damned if you do.
Yeah, exactly.
If I message first, then obviously I'm a bot.
Yeah.
If I wait for someone to message me, then I'm stuck up.
Right. Meanwhile, I'd be like, awesome, she messaged me first because now I don't have to do this because I hate the first message thing.
Yeah. If I misspell a word, I'm honestly foreign.
Yes.
You know,
what I don't get, like, and I know we should just wrap this up instead, but what I don't get is the whole thing when people be like, oh, well, it's some foreigner. It's like, they could just be somebody whose English is not their first language. They don't have to be a foreigner. They could be somebody who, you know, or maybe they were, you know, they're an immigrant or whatever, but it's like, they could be a citizen of this country and still not speak great English. You know, and it's like, heck, half the people who live here don't speak very, very good English, you know, like.
It kills me. Oh, that's the other thing. If I use, you know, too large of a word, then obviously I'm either stuck up or fake.
Whatever.
And yeah, I mean, it's just judgment upon judgment upon judgment. And
those are the kind of the guys who have issues with your vocabulary are probably also the ones that think truck nuts are cool. So
yeah, there's that.
You know.
So, but it's one of those things that's judgment.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's so easy to fall into that behavior of judgment back.
It is. It totally is. You're right. And it does. It messes with your own head because at some point you find yourself even like, here's one for me, and this is going to sound so racist. I've noticed that on a lot of the dating apps, a lot of the pictures of Asian women don't look like they're selfies. They look like they're professional level photos, and none of the landmarks ever look familiar. No matter what city they say they're from, they never seem to be standing in front of anything I've ever seen. And I'm not saying I know every city ever, but it's like when they say they're from Toledo and they show pictures by buildings, and I'm like, I've never seen that building. There's a chance of that. Yes, it's not like, again, I have some photographic memory of Toledo, but it's like, you know, so my opening line has well, not now, but it had become, what's the your favorite place to go in your city? And I would immediately Google it and see if it's actually the city that they have on their profile. So that because I was finding that there were so many people doing that. And it was like, why does it only seem, like I said, it's when I see someone that is of Asian descent and they have a picture that looks like a selfie, I'm more likely to go, okay, that's probably a real person. Most of them have the same bio. They, like I said, all the pictures look too glossy. You know, they look way too slick to be, like, there's no casual pictures ever. It's always just them in a city setting, never with a friend, and it's never a selfie. You know,
just describe my profile.
Yeah, it's like everything about that just screams fake, you know, and it's I've seen others too, but it's like, I don't know why there's so many. And the thing is, you know, like I read not that long ago that a lot of it is probably that there's, you know, in all the dating apps, there's tons of scammers, you know, which, real quick tip, anybody out there, if you get followed by anybody and they immediately want you to go to WhatsApp or Google email, move on, because those are scams. Anyway, I'm done.
And that's the thing. It's just, I literally, I mean, I've been accused of being fake so many times because my pictures are too professional looking, my pictures are too glossy, or my profile, it looks like I thought I sat down with my girlfriends and we crafted it together. Yeah, guy told me that too.
That like, I don't see the problem with that though. That seems like, okay, you have a well-written profile.
Exactly.
Well, so many people don't even have anything written in their profile, you know.
And honestly comes down to all of us our self-confidence has been attacked.
Yeah.
And basically worn down by other people's judgment of us over and over and over again, that we're at the point that we're trying to defend what little we have by being, completely with our guards up and our walls up and stuff.
Tony and I talked about that. I think we did I don't remember if it was on Patreon or whatever, but we did a thing where I talked about how online dating, and I felt that it was significantly negatively affecting my mental health.
They've actually come out now. They're showing more and more and more studies that social media, it ties right into the whole dating world. Social media is destroying our youth, and not to mention our adults. Absolutely destroying our sense of self-worth, our self-esteem, all of this stuff is being undermined and destroyed by what we're doing for quote unquote fun.
Yeah.
I've more than one man that I've met that are like, this guy seems really cool. He's got all his stuff together and stuff, but he only wants to be, he's only looking for FWBs, And I read the profile and I look at the picture and I talk to the person. I'm like, no, you want a relationship, but you've been hurt so much that you've said, I'm opting out now.
Yeah.
That you're opting out and you're going strictly with FWB because you can't take another putting yourself out there on the chance of something being real. So you'd rather just get someone who's interested in just one thing.
Yeah, I think that's what the negative profiles do too, is you're putting those walls up so you can't be hurt, and it's like you don't realize that those walls are making people go, oh, this city's closed off. Like no access. So I guess I'll move to the next one. And and that's the thing, is you think you're protecting yourself, and you are, but you're also protecting yourself from potential happiness,
Yeah.
So
I just met someone who checked all the boxes, 100% checked all the boxes, to the point where I couldn't believe this person checked this many boxes. And timing was off.
Yeah.
And it sucks so damn bad because this person legitimately probably could be absolutely perfect for me. But because of circumstances, it's not the right time. So I'm not sitting and waiting for anyone anymore.
Yeah.
Not that they're even asking me to.
Oh, you're getting way too old for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Middle age.
I know. God.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, I'm not waiting for anybody, but I'm not closing that door either.
Right. I appreciate that you're very much pushing back on the negativity, because you're totally right. It is so easy to just fall into that pit of negativity, especially, I don't know from your perspective, but like for me, the reason it was such a negative thing is like, I don't get matches. I just don't get matches. And that's really awful for your self-esteem. When you're on there and you're like, you're doing on the apps that you're supposed to just do the swiping on, and you get nothing. That's really hard on your self-esteem, and like you're going on dates with people and just finding that a lot of these people, a lot of people don't know what they really want. They pretend they do, but there's been studies done that show that as a race, humans are really bad at actually like putting out there what we want versus what we actually want. Like we will say we want this, this, and this, and then end up with somebody who's not like that at all, and be with them for a long time.
Yes, there's a very distinct difference between want and need.
Yeah.
And we have a very hard time differentiating between the two, and knowing even what falls in what category. I'm at the point in my life that I have been through and done pretty much everything that I that I want to a certain extent, obviously. I've gone to the point where I've eliminated enough situations and scenarios that I'm very confident and secure in this is what I'm looking for. These are the items I can compromise on. And the third piece, which is an incredibly important piece, I'm fine being alone.
Yeah.
And that was really hard, and it's still hard, and I still struggle with that one. But
well, and even that is a balance, because I've seen so many people that brag up about how they're comfortable being alone, and I'm like, yeah, but I see what you post that you do, and you're not looking for interactions anymore. That isn't good. Again,
yes.
Humans, most of us by nature, are social beings. There's been studies done showing the benefits of getting a hug, of spending time with people, all these kind of things. So it's like being comfortable by yourself is fine. There's nothing wrong with going to a movie by yourself, taking yourself out for dinner, understanding that you don't have to be in a relationship, but there is a line you can cross and go the other way with it, to where you're just becoming a hermit. That's no good.
I really feel that I've gotten to a fairly good balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not keeping the balance is the key.
Yes.
It's difficult to keep the balance, but I also know, like, a gentleman that very interesting guy, he's a graduate degree. He's a researcher for for the living, very educated, interesting person, and very honest what he's looking for. And he's not looking for a serious commitment of any sort. And I appreciate that. He's like, I just do not have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm looking for. And I flat out told him, I'm like, I am more effort than you're willing to put forth.
Yeah. And that's
he's like,
though, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I really think so too, probably. And I said, yeah, and that's fine. It's just, don't lie to me. Don't try to pretend that you are going to be what I need and then dump at the first sign of anything. It's like, no, I'm very much on Front Street. I will let you know, this is what I'm looking for. This is the commitment I'm looking for. I'm not looking for marriage. I'm like looking for maybe a consistent date once a week and a +1 when things come up. But if, that's fine. If you can't deliver upon that, no problems. Tell me up front.
Yeah. I don't think some people know is the problem, because so many people jump from relationship to relationship. They never learn about themselves. They just jump and jump and jump. And they jump from this relationship into a mirror relationship into a mirror relationship. And they can't figure out why they can't find happiness. And it's like, because you're hitting your head on the same door every time. Like sooner or later, you got to find a different door and try the knob, The
ones I have issue with are not the ones that put on Front Street that this is what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. No problems. I do not have issues with the ones on the other end of the spectrum that are very determined, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
No problem. I get it. You're giving me the opportunity to make the decision for myself whether this is what I want to choose to get involved with.
Yeah.
The ones I have the biggest issue with are the ones that are wishy-washy, or the ones that are set out to play the quote-unquote game to deceive. Those are the ones I get pissed at.
Yeah.
Because do not waste my time by not giving me full truth. To give me full truth, give me the respect enough to say, this is where I'm at. This is what is going on. I would like you to join me in this situation. Then giving me the opportunity to say yes or no. By giving me half-truths, by lying to me, by manipulating, by seeing what you can do to get me to give you what you're looking for, is a absolute, excuse my language, pause me if you need to, fucking shit move.
Oh, my ears.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, you're right, though. Yeah. Because that's a deliberate manipulation of manipulation of somebody.
Yes.
That's a deliberate manipulation.
Even if you come to me and say, I don't know what I'm looking for, I'm not sure, this is what's going on in my world.
Yeah.
At least you're giving me the respect enough to make my own decision of whether I want to jump into it or not.
Yeah. Well, we've talked plenty of times on here, right? Like when your situation change, you need to communicate. When something changes, you'd say, hey, this is here, and whatever. So yeah, you're totally right. It's the ones that are out to manipulate people really are the worst ones. And it's why you see, no matter what your gender is on these dating apps, I'm sure you see the no games, quit wasting my time probably shows up on no matter what the gender is on any dating website of any kind or hookup website or whatever they are. You probably see it a lot, Yeah,
it's one of those things that even now, if I read through a profile, I'm judging.
Yeah.
I hate that. I'm a non-judgmental person. I pride myself as having non-judgment. And as I'm reading through things, I'm like, oh, heard this one before. Oh, all of that stuff is starting to come out of me. And I'm like, God, I hate this. I hate that person. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. And the only way really to stop being that person is probably to take a step away from the apps. It's probably the only real way.
There's another option. I came across this just in my last scenario that I came across. It's okay if I'm made a fool.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to get there, but if I trust in someone and they lie to me, that is not my fault. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have nothing to be embarrassed about. That is them being a jerk. It is not me. And it was really hard, and I'm still struggling with it, and I'm having to work it out. But when I came to that realization, it just dawned on me. I'm like, whoa. If I trust in someone, I trust in what they're saying to me. That doesn't make me naive. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make me a simple person, dumb, none of the above. It means I'm a trusting, good person.
Yeah, because if you are those other things, then that means that you're, I don't know how to word it.
I'm not less than.
Yeah, you're going into it with that negative.
Yeah,
mindset.
I'm not then.
Yeah, that's right.
And if anyone would feel that I'm less than because I'm following my heart, I'm trusting someone completely. If that makes me bad, then I don't need them in my world.
Yeah. Well, that's the jaded approach. Is when you look at, they're just going to waste my time, so I'm not going to let them this and this and this. Like there's areas where it makes sense, right? Like putting a boundary up so they don't meet your kids right away or something. Totally understandable, right? Because that's a weird thing. Don't let them come right to your house right away sometimes because you don't know this person, whatever. Like those things are reasonable. Like, like you can easily put those boundaries up. But, I'm not saying the person has to. I'm saying that those are reasonable ones though.
The way I look at things, I lead with my heart. I've always led with my heart. And yeah, it hurts. Life hurts. Everything we do in life will end in hurt. And I know it's kind of cynical when you first start thinking about it, but if you hear me out, everything we do in the world will always end in hurt. But we've survived all of this hurt up to this moment. So the goal is to make what happens before the hurt so worth it that when the hurt happens, we're like, that was a good risk. That was mitigated. I'll deal with that because that was worth it.
Yeah.
So that is how I am approaching life. I'm going to continue to approach life the same way. That, I'm leading with my heart. If it feels right, I'm going with it. If I end up getting hurt, so be it. I've lived through worse. And keep on moving forward in being positive and not worrying about people saying I'm naive or saying I'm silly or stupid for leading with my heart. You know what? Forget it. It doesn't matter. It's what I'm choosing to do. And my ongoing joke that I always share, like if I invite someone back to my apartment to watch a movie or whatever, I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, hey, if you're a serial murderer, please neck down. Keep the face intact, because my parents would like to have an open casket.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, I think that's a very fair statement, right?
Right.
It's like, just leave the face alone. Neck down, please.
Right.
So, yeah. And I mean, yeah, is it morbid? For sure. Is it dark humor? Absolutely. But it's me recognizing I understand I'm taking this risk. I'm willing to take this risk. I'm not stupid. I understand what I'm getting into, and I'm choosing to do so anyways.
Right. And
more often than not, those that know me know that's how I live my world. Those that don't know me say I'm naive. So I have a real issue when people say I'm naive, because no, it's not that I don't understand the risks. It's not that I don't understand anything that's going on. I understand all of it, and I'm making an active choice to disregard it and do what I want to do.
Right.
Completely different things.
Yes.
So, anyhow, my soapbox. You see, you guys give me this time. I jump on my soapbox and I just go to town.
Oh, I edit all this out anyway, but.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. These poor listeners.
Yeah, this show only is. I only put up the segment where I talk. That's it. So I cut it down to about an hour and a half. And
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been an hour and a half now?
Pretty
Do we
close.
want to try to do a topic?
No.
Just thought I'd throw it out there.
I think we just did a topic, basically. So
We did do a topic, I think, didn't we? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we covered a lot in this episode. And do not stop playing our podcast just because you think you know what's going to happen. Listen all the way through. You never know. Easter eggs happen everywhere. But if you'd like to continue the conversation with us, you know what to do. You can reach us at the Crazy Life Podcast at Outlook.com is our website. Crazy Life Podcast. What? I lied. Crazy Life Podcast at Outlook.com is our email address. CrazyLifePodcast.weebly.com is our website. And if you'd like to reach me, you can reach me through the Facebook page Brian will tell you about shortly, because I am still on a hiatus from most social media. You could also, shoot an email. Hey, Jen, to the email address I just gave you, and it'll get right to me. Hanno, how can they reach you?
Find me on Twitter at Ida Henno, and Facebook Messenger Henno Heiter, and I'm pretty much that on Instagram and TikTok and all of them.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Stunami. I'm still not on TikTok, and I have a Mastodon account if anyone wants it, but there's really no point. So, because
You're not on Truth Social?
Oh God, no. I'm not elite enough to be on Blue Sky, and I'm not crazy enough to be on Truth. So yeah. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stunami. My other podcast can be found at salty_language on Twitter, and at saltylanguage.com we'll bring up a link tree type of thing for all of our links to the show and stuff. So yeah, it's just me and my best friend yapping about what has crossed our paths, like we talked about my tech issues, doctor visits, weird proposals, Meta maybe having a Twitter rival, the Wienermobile name change, Mortal Kombat characters, Orca, the movie that Henno referenced, and stuff like that. So if you're into that, give us a listen. Show's not safe for work, so please be careful. And yeah, you can also find this show on Twitter at the Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. We're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go give the shows there a listen. And we can be found on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast if you want to come join that. And yeah, and as usual, if you need help, please reach out. There's all sorts of people willing to help you. And, you know, like we talked about the dating stuff. And if you find yourself, like anything we talked about pretty much on this show, is if it affects you negatively, maybe take a step back and go, is this something I want in my life? Does this bring something I need to my life, or want? Either one. But, you know, maybe just take a look. Because if it's affecting you negatively, maybe take a step away from it for a little while and, you know, reassess what's going on. So, yeah. And then, of course, as always, you know, please be kind to one another. Show kindness. Lead with empathy. Think outside yourself. Other platitudes. But the truth.
There is no one else in this world but me.
Yeah.
You know that.
You know, I just, the more and more I get older, I think I said this on Salty Languages last week too. It's just the looking outside of yourself thing, and how much we've just trained people not to do that anymore. The lack of community concept, that it's individuality, and it makes sense because people are always easier to control when separated. So if you really want to see change in this world, you know, find like-minded people and, you know, push positive things, not, you know, threatening store employees over some merchandise that the store has or that kind of garbage, you know. So anyway, yeah, like I said, be nice, you savages.
Yes, and for those out there that keep our freedom free, we appreciate you coming up on Memorial Day. It's very important. You know, we thank you. We know you give you a lot of crap, and we still do appreciate everything that you do for us. So, with that, go out there, be kind, enjoy being with each other, and celebrate what we stand for, which is unity and freedom. So go out there, have a good week, and we will see you as soon as we can. Bye, everybody.